The circle of fifths is a visual tool that organizes the 12 tones of the chromatic scale into perfect fifths. Each one of these tones can be used as a tonic where we can build a major scale or a minor scale, and this offers us the key signatures. This is helpful for learning scales, arpeggios, and diatonic chords. Understanding the circle of fifths is really important for being able to have a good understanding of harmony and analyzing tunes, as well as improvising over chord changes. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this, learn something today. So let's get started with the explanation. So let's get familiar with the circle of fifths and what these things mean. We have key signatures. So this tells us the number of flats or sharps, or if we have no sharps and no flats. Each one of these key signatures could tell us that we're in major, like these uppercase letters tell us, and the relative minor. Okay, we like these lowercase letters. In general, if you're playing a jazz standard or a pop tune, just about anything, most music will fall into tonal music. And so we can play those tunes in any of these 12 keys, right? So we could play in C major or A minor. We could play the same song in B flat major or G minor, so it depends on if the song's in major or minor. Now for simplicity, I've taken these three keys and just given them one key signature each, but actually there are duplicate key signatures for these three, but I'm not going to get into that today. Now if we modulate or change keys, or maybe use secondary dominants, what's going to happen is you might borrow from a closely related key or even a distantly related key, or you might want to play the whole song in a different key. So let's talk a little bit about the relationships between these, and then we'll build out some scales. So when we see key of C major, that's really telling us we have 7 notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If we want to play something in F major, we're basically playing those 6 of those exact same notes, but B flat instead of B natural. Right? So we would have F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. So that's why the next one over is going to be closely related. So that goes in either direction. So C major and G major would be closely related keys because we share all the same notes, except that F is sharp in the key of G, F is natural in the key of C. So we would spell out G major as G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So let's build a C major scale and an A minor scale to really illustrate this. We basically pick C as a starting point, and we go through a certain sequence of whole steps and half steps. And we do a very similar thing with A. So this sequence of tones will give us major. So the W represents a whole step, and the H represents a half step. So if we're going to spell out a C major scale, we'll say C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So we see our half steps between E and F, half steps between B and C. Now if we want to talk about the relative minor, we have this really the same sequence of steps, but we're starting from a different point within that. So we'll start with A. E, F, G, and back to A. So we can see our half steps are now between B and C and E and F, just like before. But if you're in a minor tune, then this is your tonic. If you're in a major tune, this is your tonic C. So to sum up on that, we see this key signature. We need to determine whether the tune is major or minor. And if so, you would have C, let's say if it's a major, and that's giving you a collection of 7 tones. Same with A minor. But the tonic is either going to be C or A minor. That's where the music wants to return, sort of like a gravitational pull towards that center. So let's spell out key of 1 flat, F major and D minor. Okay, so with F major, we have F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. And we can see our half steps now between A and B flat, E and F. So in minor, start on D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, and D. Half steps. The sequence of whole steps and half steps forms the underlying pattern for determining these key areas. Let's check out the key of 1 sharp. So we have G major or E minor. Let's start out with major. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. So again, identify those half steps. So B and C, F sharp, and G. Relative minor, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. Half steps, F sharp to G, B and C. Understanding tonality, collections of tones will help you to improvise within a key. It will also help you to modulate if you want to move to a new collection of tones as you're playing phrases. So understanding the chord relationships is really helpful with this. So let's take a look at a couple examples of 5/1s. So in the key of C, we're going to have a G7, which will go to C, right? A minor will have an E7 that goes to an A minor. If we're in the key of C or any other key, but we'll use C as the example, we may have moments where the tune uses secondary dominance, and that's where oftentimes we borrow from closely related keys. So if we have a C7, we might consider that a 5 of 4 in the key of C. If we have an A7, we might consider that a 5 of the 2 in the key of C. But again, we're borrowing from D minor. If we have a D7, that could be functioning as a 5 of 5 in the key of C. If we use a B7, that could be functioning as a 5 of the 3 chord in the key of C. So let's talk a little bit about relative minor versus parallel minor, or parallel major, parallel minor. So sometimes tunes may take C and borrow from its parallel minor. For example, let's say we wanted, rather than a 2/5 being a D minor 7 to G7, we might want D minor 7 flat 5 to a G7 flat 9. So in that case, we borrowed from the parallel minor. A tune may also shift from minor to major. So A minor could change to A major. All right, so a few takeaways on this. When we look at the circle of fifths, we're going to take one of these spots and identify that as the key signature of a tune, and then we're going to take a look at how things, or take a listen to how things modulate, change keys, and we could find ourselves in one of these other spots, even within a certain song, whether it's a bridge or a secondary dominant or what have you. So I would encourage you to work on scales, play, go through, counterclockwise. You can go the opposite direction too, and understand that the most distantly related key centers are on the opposite end of the circle. And the intervals between these tones are perfect fifths. So some practice tips for working with the circle of fifths. Play 1 octave major scales, moving counterclockwise through the circle. Once you feel comfortable with that, try it out with the minor scales, try it out with arpeggios, and then branch into all of the other modes of the major scale. So use the circle of fifths to analyze tunes. Go through some of your favorite progressions and find out, does it change to a closely related key or a distantly related key in the circle of fifths? This is a foundational tool for us all to use, so I strongly recommend you incorporate this into your daily practice routine. Thanks for watching. Have a great practice session.